found your franchise quarterback, everything in life is better. No game is too big, no deficit is insurmountable, and no goal is unattainable. You basically can't win without a superstar at that position, but especially over the last several years, there's been a phenomenon of legendarily talented quarterbacks who command great offenses but can't seem to win Super Bowls or even get to them. Aaron Rodgers has won only one and been to just one, but that was more than a decade ago. Same exact thing with Drew Brees. And looking back in history, Brett Favre won only once, and despite going to one, Dan Marino didn't win any. With today's salary cap and current rookie contract structure, you basically get 5 years of cheap quarterback labor, and then your franchise QB swallows up 20% of your salary cap. That financial burden strips away the core of his supporting cast until he almost stands alone, and that's the worry right now with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. After winning a Super Bowl and then going to another, Mahomes signed a $500 million contract this offseason, and the talent around him has already started slipping. While the offense is still pretty much just as good as ever, the defense might be the worst of all time. Through Week 5, they've allowed 7.1 yards per play, which is the worst mark in NFL history. Offenses score on 54% of their drives against them, worst in the NFL, and they are allowing 3.3 points per drive. The last offense to put up 3.3 a drive was the 2007 Tom Brady-Randy Moss record-setting Patriots. So basically, every single week, the Chiefs are facing the equivalent of one of the best offenses of all time. So what's the deal? Why is the defense, which was just in the Super Bowl, suddenly so awful? And is there any light at the end of the tunnel? Before we take a better look into all that, I want to thank my friends at Manscaped who came back for another go because you guys were so awesome last time. Manscaped is the global brand for men's grooming and hygiene products, and when it comes to those two categories, they have absolutely everything you could possibly need. They hooked me up with their incredible all-in-one Perfect Package 4.0, so instead of going to a bunch of stores or spending a ton of time online, I have everything I need right here. My favorite product is the Lawnmower 4.0, which is the best electric waterproof trimmer which has advanced skin-safe technology so the boys can stay safe. You can charge it, use it in the shower, and light it up, even just for fun. The Perfect Package also comes with deodorant and toner spray, which keeps you smelling good, and extra blades as well. To top off the discount, Manscaped will give you this super comfy pair of boxer briefs and this awesome travel bag to house everything. If you're down with the Manscaped revolution, go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping, plus those 2 free gifts when you use promo code Rollins at checkout, and you'll be loving life. Alright, let's get right back to the Chiefs. There are a lot of different issues with this Chiefs defense. There isn't one quick easy fix. According to Football Outsiders' DVOA metric, which is probably the best way to statistically evaluate units and teams, the Chiefs have the worst pass defense and the worst run defense. Specifically on first down, where offenses' pass-run splits are most even, they're allowing 143 yards per game, which is second most, and 9.6 yards per attempt, which is third. And against the run, they're allowing 5.5 yards a pop. When the Chiefs start to cheat up to the line to stop the run, offenses bomb them with play action where they're allowing 12.4 yards per attempt and an 86 completion percentage, both of those league highs. It's not easy to identify one or two small issues with this defense since there are so many, so zooming out and taking a step, or several steps back, their main issues are struggling to execute their coverage concepts by not even lining up correctly, their inability to cover one-on-one, and failure to create pressure with the front four. In Week 3, they allowed Justin Herbert to walk all over him to the tune of 4 touchdown passes, and at times made it way too easy for him to complete easy passes. Here they're running a Cover 3 Fire Zone Blitz, a concept that has 3 deep defenders, 3 underneath defenders, and 5 rushing the passer. The fundamental aspect of any sound scheme is assigning a defender for each receiver. Mike Hughes should be on Keenan Allen, Tyrann Mathieu on Mike Williams, Anthony Hitchens on Austin Eckler, the rookie Nick Bolton on Jared Cook, and Rashad Fenton on Jalen Guyton, which means the safety Juan Thornhill is lined up incorrectly and needs to be rotating to the middle of the field in his deep third. You can see Tyrann Mathieu frantically shouting at him to align correctly, but luckily, I suppose for the Chiefs, the Chargers orbit motion Allen across the formation, which makes the Chiefs right. Now Mathieu rotates back to the middle of the field with Hughes on Williams, but Hitchens, who's busy getting his team lined up, doesn't cover Eckler out of the backfield, and he strolls into the end zone. So much of defense is just getting lined up correctly, And since the Chiefs can't, they're blowing more coverages than anybody in the league. They're constantly giving up explosive plays both on the ground and through the air, and a lot of that is attributed to the issues we laid out. One reason they're regularly struggling to line up is because Steve Spagnuolo is always trying to disguise what they're doing. He loves rotating multiple defenders after the snap to try and fool the quarterback, but when your team can't cover and your front isn't getting pressure, very bad things happen that no disguise can fix. Throughout Spagnuolo's tenure, the Chiefs have run a ton of Tampa 2 zone, and on 3rd and longs like this one, they've used 3 safeties to disguise it in many different ways. This is designed to look like one high safety man coverage with maybe a robber or something. But at the snap, Dan Sorensen rolls into a deep half, Juan Thornhill to the other, and Matthew slides back as the middle run-through defender. The issues here are that the line gets 0 penetration, and despite Sorensen having a major cushion on Diggs, his coverage skills are worse than Urban Meyer's night out on the town. There are way too many different Chiefs who simply can't hold up in one-on-one coverage, and Spagnuolo's blitz-heavy philosophy doesn't always help him out. Another one of his calling cards is utilizing a league-leading amount of cover 0, which is an all-out pressure with no deep safeties and man coverage across the board. It almost guarantees a free runner at the quarterback, but the Chiefs have been pretty bad when using it, especially when they're trying to disguise it. Since they run 2 high safety coverages at one of the highest rates in the league, it can be challenging to execute cover 0 when your safeties are playing at the typical 10 to 12 yard depth so as not to tip their hands. Here they're trying to show 2 high and pretend L'Jarius Sneed is covering Jared Cook, but have actually tasked Hitchens to sprint across the field to take him, and are asking Matthew to fly all the way down to cover Keenan Allen. Yeah, this gets Sneed unblocked off the edge, but when Herbert sees Matthew this deep, it's way too easy for him to pitch and catch. Cover 0 is designed to make QBs uncomfortable and knock them off rhythm, but when the Chiefs are using unsound coverages like this, it's inexcusable. Even on plays where the offense isn't gashing them, it's still asking a lot of each defender, especially a guy like Sorensen, to play from that depth and make a tackle covering all this space with nobody behind him in case he misses. With 55 seconds left in the 4th quarter of this game, Spagnuolo called cover 0 4 times out of the next 5 plays, and then when they got to the 3-yard line, Herbert easily threw the game-winning touchdown on a straight mismatch, Mike Hughes against Mike Williams. One of the reasons the Chiefs have used cover 0 so often this year is to try and make up for their inability to hold up in coverage, but it's actually had the opposite effect since offenses know it's coming. If you can block it up, or your QB can quickly get the ball out, then all of the Chiefs defenders who struggle in man coverage become even more exposed. Spagnuolo's tried to solve this problem by continuing to blitz. They do so at the 7th highest rate in the league, but they're last place in sacks with just 7. They are getting a decent amount of pressure, but they're just not getting home in time, which could actually be a positive sign that more sacks are coming in the near future since they're getting so much pressure, and that'll cover up some of the mistakes they're making on the back end. Knowing they have to blitz to get pressure, and knowing they have to heavily disguise coverages since they can't cover, those 2 factors have really gotten them in trouble. Here they're trying to pretend like they're rolling into their beloved Tampa 2, since they know teams are well aware of their proclivity to do so, but it ends up hurting them. They want it to look like they're rolling Thornhill to a deep half, Sorensen way deep like we saw before, and Matthew staying put in the middle, but instead run cover 1 man free, which blitzes an extra defender but means they lose a low hole zone defender underneath. Fenton has to play off against the stack alignment, which creates a nearly impossible situation for the defense, and football team converts on 3rd and long. There are just too many liabilities on this team, making it far too easy for offenses to pick and choose matchups during the game planning process, throughout the game, and even after the snap. Their rookie linebacker Nick Bolton has had a brutal baptism by fire, repeatedly looking lost. Dan Sorensen has been fairly inept, as we've seen in the video, and the corners Mike Hughes and Rashad Fenton simply cannot hold up in man coverage, which the Chiefs are constantly playing since they blitz so often. With all of that said, there is in fact some of that light at the end of the tunnel. Their schedule in the first 5 weeks was brutal. They were beaten down by the Browns' explosive running game, then faced Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, and Josh Allen, but after meeting mere mortal Taylor Heinicke, they allowed just 13 points in Week 6, suggesting their numbers will improve against lesser competition. Their pass rushers Chris Jones and Frank Clark have been in and out of the lineup with injuries, so both of them being healthy should give the squad a much-needed boost, and it's certainly possible this defense just needed time to iron out all their miscommunication in the secondary. The schedule is still pretty tough moving forward, but there are a few cupcakes that should help them start to right the ship. One of the upcoming matchups, obviously not in the cupcake category, is Week 9 against Aaron Rodgers, a man who's arguably the best quarterback of all time, who's put up mind-numbing stats throughout his career, and yet has only been to one Super Bowl, largely due to the fact he's stuck carrying lackluster defenses. There are a lot of moving parts within an organization, and after back-to-back Super Bowl appearances for Mahomes and the Chiefs, one has to wonder watching this defense what the future will look like. The stability in the front office is what could separate them from some of the less accomplished franchise quarterbacks we've talked about, but if one side of the ball continues being inept, that'll spell trouble moving forward. The Chiefs do have Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and two of the deadliest weapons in the NFL, but we can't forget they also have Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, and a core of guys who have all the playoff experience you could ask for. Smack dab in the heart of the 2021 season, after a historically terrible start, it's time for that core to answer the bell for Chiefs Kingdom.